So I'm going to show you that adopting Prop 63 at a national level simply won't work because there are issues with the proposition itself. I'm going to do this by pointing out that the adoption of Prop 63 will not work because people will not comply with it, because there are loopholes that people can take to circumvent the implementation of Prop 63, and because the enforcement that the affirmative side and the proposition advocates for is simply inept and inadequate to enforce such a law at a national level. So my first claim is that adopting Prop 63 nationally won't be effective because people won't comply. Prop 63 is going to make a lot of guns that are currently out in the U.S. Illegal, and people aren't necessarily motivated to give them up. According to the U.S. Committee on the Judiciary, there is a popular bumper sticker saying, "I will give up my gun when they peel my cold dead fingers from around it." People that are going to go to this extent to protect their guns aren't simply going to give up their guns for free. If you have a $1,000 gun sitting in your home and it has some sort of monetary or sentimental value, you're not just going to hand it over suddenly because the government says it's illegal. These people are going to hold on to their guns because there's no monetary or otherwise incentive to give it up. Secondly, speaking to what Les had said earlier, individuals intending to commit crimes don't always, most often don't comply with laws that are put in place. The Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms has coined the term, "When guns are outlaws, only outlaws will have them." This was shown in the January Paris attacks on that newspaper office. I think all of you remember. There were 12 people killed, and there were actually 2 police officers on the scene, but because France has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, neither of those police officers had guns on them, and they couldn't defend themselves or protect the people in this newspaper office. And similarly, what Prop 63 will do is it'll make all current standard issue police guns that police officers have today. They have a standard magazine, which is 30 rounds of ammunition. So all of those guns that our police officers have today will be rendered ineffective until they get new equipment, which puts us in the same situation as what happened in France. Similarly, there's a police code that states, "Gun violence is frequently perpetrated by individuals who are not legally permitted to possess a firearm due to prior criminal convictions or other restrictions." Again, this is shown in Boston this October. 2 police officers were shot and another civilian was shot because someone was carrying a gun that they legally did not have a license to carry. Again, showing that criminals are not going to comply. At the Pulse nightclub attack that happened in Florida over the summer, the Orlando Police Chief John Mina said that it appears he was well organized and well prepared. If Prop 63 is put in place, there are many ways that people can get around it. Criminals are going to find a way, which leads me into my next point, that there are loopholes that people can use to get around the implementation of Prop 63. There have been loopholes in the past. For example, the California Department of Justice handgun roster. It basically made certain guns illegal to sell, and what happened was the gun companies just changed the names of the guns, and so people can start selling them again. Similarly, it's pretty easy to get other people to get guns or ammo for you, even with these background checks. Again, going into it, yes, it's illegal, but criminals aren't going to abide by these laws. According to that same police code I quoted earlier, criminals sometimes obtain guns through firearm dealers who do not conduct the proper background check or who do not properly control their inventory. So even these dealers are willing to sell guns to people under questionable circumstances, meaning if we look to the dealers or the gun stores to enforce these laws or these background checks, we can't always trust them because they're willing to do questionable business. Similarly, talking specifically to Prop 63 and the loopholes regarding Prop 63, I'm not sure how many people in here are familiar with guns, but there's a type of, it's called the Magpul, the 1030 Magpul, and basically it's it holds 30 rounds of ammunition. It's like that big, I believe, in real life. And there's a way that you can put a rivet into it to block it to only hold 10 rounds, and that's very common today because you're only allowed to hold 10 rounds. But what people will do is they will buy this, they will take it home, if they have the tools necessary, they'll pop out that rivet, and there you have a standard 30-round magazine. So that's just one simple way that I thought up to circumvent this law, and if I can think of it, and I'm not even that familiar with guns, other people are going to be able to circumvent the same thing. Similar to what the affirmative case said regarding background checks, I do believe background checks are valid, but the background checks offered by Prop 63 are going to be run by the Department of Justice, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if you once again recall the Pulse shooting, Omar Mateen, the gunman, was on the FBI watch list in 2013. He was interviewed, according to CNN, and in 2014 he was found not to be a threat. So we need some way to overlap the Department of Justice and the FBI watch lists. Their lists of people that we shouldn't be allowing to have guns in order to prevent like such big shootings. And Prop 63 simply is not going to do that. And finally, Prop 63 is simply not feasible because of the inadequate enforcement. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, commonly known as the ATF, has had a history of excessive damage and excessive violence when conducting their searches. There's a case in Georgia where they raided a home, threw a flashbang into a room, landed in a baby's crib, and severely burned the child because they did not check before they went in. So if we allow the ATF, someone who, or a department that has had such bad historical cases with raiding to find guns, there's really no way that that's going to be safe, and having the ATF enforce this isn't necessarily even safer than having the guns that we have today without Prop 63. Thank you.